Welcome to this presentation of agroforestry component and interactions. It's a part of the model which is called agroforestry system. I'm Chantal ZANINKA from University of Rwanda, College of Agriculture, Animal Sciences and Veterinary Medicines, Department of Forestry and Nature Conservation. We can start by introduction. Let us see what is agroforestry. Agroforestry is a land use system where the wood and crops are planted together in order to get high production. Before selecting trees, you have to know which species am I going to use. What is the best species can I use, which can be better to improve my production. By selecting that tree species, you have to be based on the growth characteristics of that tree species. Fast growing tree species will be better, and you have also to see the rooting system of that trees. If, for example, the trees have the deep root, it is good because they are going to get the water which are very deeply and they will not compete with the other crops. And you have to see the trees which can fix nitrogen in the soil. Those trees can improve the soil fertility. And also you have to know the production. You have to see what is the end use of my trees, what is my purpose, what is the production which I need. For example, you can say maybe I need fodder. If you need fodder, you have to look at the trees which have many leaves. And if you have, for example, if you need timber, you have to see the trees which can be better to give you a timber. So by selecting the trees, you have also to be based on the end use of your trees. We are going to see the benefit of agroforestry. As you can see in that figure, you can see how those trees can improve the soil. You have to see there on the first. You can see here, you can see on those roots of those trees, the roots are going very deeply, so that they will not compete with those crops. So if you are going to select the tree species, you have to select the trees which their roots they are going very deep, so that those roots they will not be on the shallow. If they are not on the shallow, they will not compete with the crop. And those trees, those leaves of the trees will also, when they are falling down, after falling down, they will start to be decomposed. After being decomposed, they will increase the soil fertility, and your production also will be increased. And also you have to see those trees. You can see here it is on the slope. If it is on the slope, they can reduce the soil erosion. The speed of the erosion can be reduced by the root of those trees. So even if the agroforestry trees, they are good, but if they are not managed well, they can bring a big problem. They can start to compete with your crops. In the tree crops interaction, we have what we call competition, complementarity, and facilitation. The competition occurs when the two species utilize the same resources. For example, they can compete by the nutrient, by water, and by light. You know, every trees or every plant, they need light, they need the nutrient and water in order to grow. So you have to manage them well so that they will not compete with your crops. There is another thing which we call complementarity. In complementarity, they occurs when competition is weak. For example, if you are planting your trees and your crops, for example, you are planting maize and trees. The trees can be a shade of your crops, and the trees also can increase the soil fertility. then that crops will utilize that fertility, and your production will be increased. There's another thing which we call facilitation. Facilitation occurs where one species alter the environment of the other in a positive way. For example, let us say we have seen that the agroforestry you can mix the crops, trees and the animals. Here you can use those trees, they can be a shade or a shelter for your animals. If you are mixing your trees and your animals or your cow, they can be a shelter. And the trees, they can be also used to feed your animals. We have seen that there is something which we call competition. So we are going to see the interaction between those trees. We have all the interaction between the component. We have what we call above and below ground interaction. As you can see here on this figure, there are trees here. There are trees, and you can see here there are leaves of trees. They can fall down here. Then once they are falling, they can be decomposed. Then after being decomposed, they can be used as a fertilization. And here also you can see there are some trees, the roots of trees, they are too long. And you can see there are crops. For example, those are maize. Those roots of trees, they are coming to compete with the trees, the roots of the maize. So what you can do, you have to prune those roots. You can cut those roots in order to minimize the competition. And even if you look at here on the canopy of that trees, if you look at on the canopy of that trees, you can see that the shade is too many. The crops which are under here, they can't get the light. So you have also to minimize or to remove those branches by cutting them. That is what we call pruning. In order to remove those branches, you are minimizing the competition. Then you can use those prunings. You can use them as stakes. For example, if you are having beans, you can use those branches as stakes, and you can also use those leaves by giving them on your livestock. They can eat them. For example, there are some trees which are having protein, and they can be fed to the animals. And here you can see those light also. There is also competition on the light. There is competition on the nutrient. What you call above ground interaction, they are the one which are under the ground, under the soil, which is competition for the light or interaction on the light. Then there is another one which is below ground competition, where they can compete with to the nutrient and to the water. So we can summarize this course by saying that agroforestry can provide a different land use option compared with the traditional one, but they have to be well planned and well managed in order to minimize the competition and in order to increase your production, because agroforestry can produce or can provide many services like soil conservation, like soil fertility improvement. They can change the microclimate, and they can even they can be carbon sequestration, where the trees can be carbon sink. And also there is another things which they can provide, like a product from agroforestry trees, where you can get timber, poles, fuel wood or firewood, and that one can also be, they can reduce the effect of deforestation, because the stress or the people who are going to cut the trees, they will not be going to cut the trees because they will be using those trees, and those trees, they are fast growing. Thank you, and see you next time.